All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're going deep on something that might just make you rethink, well, everything you thought you knew about the internet. We're talking about the dead internet theory. Have you ever scrolled through, your feed and just felt like something was a little, I don't know, off?
It's a really interesting concept, isn't it? This dead internet theory basically says that the online world, the one we use every day to connect and learn and all that, it's becoming, well, dominated by AI, bots, algorithms, leaving real human interaction as kind of a rare thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a chilling thought when you really think about it. You wanted to understand this theory better, and we've found some sources that really break it down. Get this, one of them actually traces this whole theory back to, wait for it, a 2021 forum post on Agorda Road's Macintosh Cafe. I mean, talk about an origin story, right?
It's almost poetic in a way, isn't that? This theory about, questioning the internet, it comes from this niche forum all about vintage Apple computers. It just shows how these ideas can like simmer in these unexpected places online and then boom, they become mainstream.
Absolutely. And okay, the dead internet theory might sound like, I don't know, something out of a sci-fi movie or something. But the source points out that this idea, the idea of an internet full of bots, it's not actually new. Think about it. Back in 2013, cybersecurity experts were already kind of waving red flags about how much web traffic wasn't even human. Think back to your own online experience, say, a decade ago. Did you ever think we'd be at a point where bots could actually outnumber real people?
It's definitely been a gradual shift, almost like you don't even notice it's happening. And it's easy to see how the internet has basically created the perfect environment for AI and bots to just explode. Think about it. The explosion of information, social media, the constant pressure to be engaged online, it's all fueled for the algorithm, right?
Okay, so let me get into the nitty-gritty. What are the theory's, main claims? Well, the source points out that so much of the content we see, the articles, videos, social media posts, it could actually be AI generated. For example, there are more and more of these AI-driven news sites. They churn out articles that sound just like a human wrote them, and even social media posts are being written by, like, really sophisticated algorithms made to sound like us. Have you ever, like, read an article and it just felt, I don't know, too perfect? Or a social media post that just felt, like, strangely generic?
Yeah, that's exactly what the theory's talking about. This weird sense of like artificialness. And it's not just about how much of it there is, it's about, what it all means. Like if we're constantly being fed this AI content, does that make human creativity less important? Does it make it harder to find real voices and perspectives in all the noise?
Right, and the dead internet theory doesn't stop there. It says that bots might actually outnumber us online. One source even says that over half of all internet traffic might not even be human. It's like going to a party and realizing half the people there are, I don't know, really advanced robots. What does that do to our sense of community, our sense of connection?
It makes you think, what is online interaction even about anymore? Are we really making connections with other people, or are we just talking to like digital copies? And what's even more unsettling is the potential for manipulation. The source talks about how bots can make it look like some social media trend is huge when it's actually just a bunch of bots. It's like a fake illusion.
So it's not just that the bots are there, it's that they can actually change how we see things, how we act, even. That's kind of creepy. And the theory goes even further, saying that algorithms and AI are being used to choose what we see online, maybe even pushing certain ideas and hiding others.
Think about like your social media feed. It's not just a neutral window to the world, right? It's like a stream of content that's been chosen for you by algorithms designed to keep you scrolling. And those algorithms, they're based on you, your past behavior, what you like, your data. It can all be used to figure out what you want to see.
So we're not getting the full picture. We're getting like a personalized version that just shows us what we already believe.
That's exactly the worry. This theory says that this kind of manipulation, it can make us less likely to have real discussions, to think critically. We just end up in these bubbles online, just hearing what we already agree with.
Makes you think about the old days of online forums. Remember those? They were raw, unfiltered. You could find all sorts of conversations, different perspectives.
Yeah, that's what the dead internet theory says is disappearing, that feeling of like randomness, of authenticity. The source talks about how different those forums were from the internet today where everything is curated and controlled.
It's kind of sad, isn't it? But does everyone agree with this theory? It's a pretty dark view of the internet.
Not everyone's on board, no. Some people think it's just conspiracy theory, like a digital doomsday prediction. But what's interesting is that even people who don't believe it, they still feel like something has changed online. Like this feeling that the internet, the place where we connect and share, it's becoming less real, less human.
So even if the internet isn't, like, dead, it's definitely not the same as it used to be.
Exactly. To understand why this theory resonates with so many people, we have to move past the theory part and look at how people are actually experiencing these changes. The source has some really interesting quotes from people on Reddit, Steam, even a tech researcher from MIT, all about how the internet is changing, how it feels less authentic.
Let's hear them. I'm really curious to see what people are saying about this.
So one quote that really stuck with me was from, get this, a user on the Arno Surf subreddit, which is interesting in itself, right? And they said, I personally think that, yeah, the internet, especially social media, it's full of bots and fake stuff, but there are still plenty of real people around too. It's like people are trying to, find that balance. They see the problem, but they haven't given up on finding real connections online.
Yeah, it's like holding on to hope that the internet isn't completely, lost to the bots. What about the other quotes? What do they say?
Okay, so there's the Steam community user who brings up a really interesting point about like just how much stuff is out there online. They say it's not that the internet is dead or inactive, it's just like overpopulated and the bots and AI, they just make it worse. It makes you think maybe it's not that the internet is dead, but that it's just so, I don't know, crowded and noisy that it's hard to find those genuine interactions.
Yeah, it's like trying to have a conversation in a stadium full of people, everyone talking at once. It's just noise. You can't really connect with anyone.
Right, exactly. And then there's this quote from the MIT tech researcher. This one really highlights how hard it is to tell what's real anymore. They say, we've reached a point where it's becoming really difficult to tell the difference between something an AI wrote and something a human wrote. This raises serious questions about, authenticity and trust online.
Wow, that's kind of scary. If even the experts are having trouble telling the difference, what hope do we have? Makes it wonder, like, how much of what we see online is even real anymore.
Yeah, and it goes back to that erosion of trust that this whole dead internet theory is talking about. If we can't be sure what's real and what's fake, how can we trust anything? The information, the people we connect with, it's like the whole foundation of the internet is, I don't know, crumbling.
Okay, so we've talked about where this theory came from, its main points, and how people are reacting to it. But what about the future? What happens if this all keeps going? The source mentions some pretty interesting and maybe even a little frightening possibilities.
Yeah, one of the scariest ones is this idea of AI-generated content just taking over completely. Imagine a world where most of the articles you read, the music you listen to, even the social media posts you see are all made by algorithms. What would that do to human creativity, to originality?
Right, would we just become like passive consumers of whatever the AI creates? Would we lose the ability to create our own stuff, to express ourselves? It's like the machines would be in charge of culture.
And it goes beyond just art. What about critical thinking, real discussions? If we're only getting fed information that fits our biases, how can we have those important conversations? How can we challenge ourselves? It would be like being trapped in an echo chamber, just hearing our own thoughts reflected back at us.
And then there's the whole thing about deepfakes. The source talks about that too, how they're a really worrying example of how AI can manipulate reality. Have you seen those deepfake videos? They're crazy realistic.
Oh, yeah. It's getting harder and harder to tell if a video is real or if it's been, messed with using AI.
It's scary to think that anyone could be made to say or do anything on video, even if it never happened. How can we trust anything we see anymore?
Exactly. It completely undermines the idea of truth. When any video, any audio can be changed so easily, how can we tell what's real? It's like the line between reality and like simulation is blurring, and it's hard to know what to believe.
And then there's AI influencers. The source mentions that too. Imagine scrolling through your feed and seeing these perfect posts, witty comments, engaging videos, and it's all coming from, well, something that isn't even human.
Yeah, it's a strange thought to be like forming relationships with AI that are designed to seem human. Would we even know if the people we're talking to online are real or just, really good algorithms? And if we can't tell, does it even matter?
It's a slippery slope for sure. It makes you wonder if this dead internet theory isn't just a theory, but a preview of what's coming. A future where the lines between human and AI are so blurred that, I don't know, authenticity doesn't even mean anything anymore.
It is a sobering thought. And it all comes back to trust. If we can't trust the information, the people, the whole experience online, will we just give up on the internet entirely?
It's like the internet is this huge unknown place, and we're all just wandering around in it, lost. This dead internet theory might not have all the answers, but it raises some really important questions. It's a wake-up call. telling us to think about how we use the internet and what could happen if we just let these trends continue. So, okay, where do we go from here? This dead internet theory, it's pretty unsettling, and it's easy to feel kind of overwhelmed by all of this. What can we actually do, to navigate this whole digital world and not just get swept away by all the bots and algorithms?
Yeah, I get it. It's easy to feel like, well, what can one person do, right? But remember, you have the power to choose how you use the internet, what you read, how you connect with others. It starts with, I think, awareness. The more you understand about algorithms, how information is like filtered and manipulated, how AI is shaping what you see, well, the better you'll be able to make your own choices.
So it's about being a more, I don't know, critical user, right? What are some like practical tips, things people can do to stay grounded and not get lost in this digital echo chamber?
One thing that's really simple but effective is to, get your information from different places. Don't just rely on social media or those news websites that are like controlled by algorithms. Try to find independent media, read longer articles, things that challenge your views. Remember, thinking for yourself is the best way to avoid being manipulated.
Like fact-checking the internet, right? Making sure you're getting the full picture, not just one side of the story.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to, question what you see online. If a headline seems too crazy or a story seems too good to be true, it probably is. Take some time to check things out, look for evidence, real reporting, not just stuff designed to get you riled up.
Be an internet detective. I like that.
And another thing, don't forget about real human connection. Try to find online communities, platforms where real conversations are happening, places where people are sharing different ideas, building relationships, not just chasing likes and shares.
So maybe it's time to like step away from those huge social media sites and find smaller groups where people are actually connecting with each other.
That's a great idea. And remember, you can always just like log off, step away. If you're feeling overwhelmed, go for a walk, talk to friends in person, just spend some time offline. It's it for you, and it can help you, reset your relationship with the internet.
Yeah, like hitting the refresh button, reminding yourself what the real world is like.
And most importantly, don't give up hope. Even if the internet is changing, even if it's getting harder to navigate, it's still an amazing tool. We can use it to communicate, to connect, to create. The important thing is to use it wisely, thoughtfully, and with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So to wrap things up, I think what we've learned today is this. The internet's changing, and we're changing along with it. Let's make sure we're changing for the better in a way that helps people, not just algorithms.
Well said. The dead internet theory, it might sound scary, but it's not a done deal. We still have a say in what the internet becomes. We can choose how we use it, and you can make sure it's a force for good.
So next time you're online, just take a second to think about who or what you're actually interacting with. Is it a real person? A bot? Something else? How does knowing that change how you feel about your time online?
How does it help you make better choices about your digital life? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the dead internet theory.
Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay connected, both in the real world and online. We'll see you on the next deep dive.